Since Sesame Street started back in 1969, there have been several home videos and specials with holiday themes, such as the Christmas specials Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, Elmo Saves Christmas, Elmo's World Happy Holidays, the New Year's special Sesame Street Stays Up Late, and the Halloween home videos Elmo Says Boo and A Magical Halloween Adventure. But it wasn't until a few years ago that the show started doing episodes focused on holidays. We've had episodes centered around Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, 4th of July, and Halloween. However, in the show's early years, there was an episode that aired with a Halloween theme to it. This wasn't really common in the old school days, but there were segments that some viewers have considered scary over the years. We all remember the giant rabbit, the face that was counting to 10, the Crack Monster cartoon, the Yo-Yo Man, the original Snuffy, Bert and Ernie with their statues in the pyramid, and of course, the Wicked Witch episode. In this video, I'm looking back on an old school Sesame Street episode from its 5th season with a rather spooky theme to it. Welcome to Scary Street. To start off, during the first seasons of Sesame Street, the episode number would be displayed on screen with a quick cartoon segment, and the cartoon that precedes this episode is kind of fitting for the Halloween theme. A mad scientist mixes chemicals together to work a machine that blows up a balloon, and when the balloon pops, the name of the show and the episode number appear on screen. These pieces of animation were done by Cliff Roberts, a regular contributor to Sesame Street when it first started. He also contributed the Christopher Clumsy, Jasper and Julius, I've Got a Mind, I Thought a Thought, the animal body switching segments, and other animated intros for the show. And now, onto the episode. It's a dark night on Sesame Street. After Mr. Hooper finishes cleaning up the store, he finds Maria, Bob, and Gordon, played at this time by Hal Miller, dancing on the stoop of 123 Sesame Street with the kids. But Oscar the Grouch doesn't find this fun and yells at them to go away. The adults refuse, so Oscar tries to figure out a way to scare them off. Oscar goes back into his can while everyone continues to enjoy themselves. When Oscar comes back, he's wearing a scary-looking mask and moans like a ghost to try to frighten everyone. But the group thinks that Oscar is only entertaining them, much to Oscar's dismay. When he explains that he was hoping that everyone would be scared, Bob points out that it isn't scary when they know that it's only Oscar wearing a mask. As everyone continues to have their fun, Oscar decides to figure out another plan. Oscar's next attempt to scare everyone is by playing a record of scary noises through a loudspeaker. The gang shows up just as Oscar plays the record, but they follow the sound to Oscar's can, and instead of being frightened away by them, they're intrigued by how Oscar set the sounds up. Disappointed that no one was scared, Oscar decides to go to plan number 3. Keeping the scary sound effects, Oscar, wearing a monster mask, has decorated the street with cobwebs, changed the street sign to Scary Street, put together little haunted house activities, and enlists the help of his friend Louie. Side note, what in the hell is behind Big Bird's door? It looks like a dead body. I kinda have to wonder though, how old is Oscar supposed to be? These pranks are easily something that a young child would put together, and the adults know that Oscar's behind it. Now that I think about it, there was one early episode I remember where it was Oscar's 5th birthday. So, yeah, just something to think about. Once the humans come Oscar's way, they decide to go along with Oscar's trick and pretend to be scared. Now that everything is all going according to plan, Oscar throws a switch that makes all the decorations move around and light up with the sounds of thunder and lightning and a witch laugh. The humans still pretend to be scared by them. Maria knocks on Oscar's can and sarcastically asks him to save them, but Oscar's disappointed that they aren't running away and reveals his prank to everyone and decides to cut bait. Now, normally when I look back on these old school Sesame Street episodes, I don't discuss the segments in them, as the segments don't always have to do with the episodes themselves. However, there are some in this episode that I want to mention. The first one was a story about 2 aliens called the Geefel and the Gonk, who lived on the planet of Snoo, whatever that is, known in this world for their nectarines. However, the Geefel's arms were raised, and while it was easy for him to pick the nectarines, he couldn't bend his arms to his mouth. The Gonk, on the other hand, is too short to reach the nectarines, so the two decide to work together. The Geefel picks some nectarines for the Gonk to eat, and the Gonk feeds some of the nectarines to the Geefel. This works so well that the pair decide to name this strategy. The Gonk comes up with the name Cooperation, but the Geefel prefers the name Shirley. Kinda reminds me of the movie Airplane. Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. I wouldn't be surprised if the writers of Airplane took some inspiration from this skit. Like the framing material for this episode, the vibes in this segment are kinda dark looking. The music is kind of eerie. I think some people would find the aliens kinda creepy, although it does have a good lesson behind it. Another segment in this episode involved the Count, which seems very fitting for a Halloween video. When the Count first debuted on the show, He was a bit more of a sinister-looking character, with even his laugh sounding somewhat evil. But as the years went by, he continued to become a much softer character. In this early count segment, he visits the bank and asks for all of his money to be withdrawn in $1 bills. This segment is done in 2 parts, with the Count finishing counting at the beginning of part 2, with the Count reaching $1,003,000. I wonder how long this took. The bank teller seems exhausted and asks the Count what he plans to buy with all of his money, but the Count's plan is to deposit it again as he begins counting. According to Muppet Wiki, this episode was also the first to feature one of the most iconic Sesame Street segments, Kermit's newsflash on Humpty Dumpty. As all of the king's horses and all of the king's men, and 1 cow, are on the scene with ambulance sirens in the back, Kermit reports that Humpty Dumpty had fallen off of his wall as in the nursery rhyme, and interviews one of the king's horses about the job of putting Humpty Dumpty back together. The king's horses and king's men seem to be just running around behind Kermit. It's kind of like they're looking for the broken pieces. For a kids show, this actually seems super morbid. But finally, Humpty Dumpty is successfully put back together, and when Kermit asks him how he feels, Humpty Dumpty answers that he feels like a brand new person. But when Kermit gives Humpty a slap on the back, like how Grover does to him, he knocks him off the wall. Anyway, that's all. I hope you enjoyed looking back on yet another old school Sesame Street with me. I gotta say, these episodes are a lot of fun to look back on because of how the show has changed over the years. And I'll see you next time with more Halloween lookbacks.